with dignity, love, and compassion. Now that's taking equality and moving it up a notch to equity. It's not enough to just acknowledge that everyone is worthy. We want to affirm that worth by making certain that they have what they need to flourish. Not just to be, to flourish. Now that's some radical love talk there. Now, I'm curious. I'd like to know who in here has been a member of a Unitarian Universalist church, or who has been a UU, okay, for at least 10 years. Raise hands. Keep your hands up if it's 20 years. Keep your hands up if it's 30 years. Keep your hands up if it's 40 years. 50? 60? All right, and there we go. Oh, 60! Woohoo! All right. So, y'all, we've loved these principles for a really long time, haven't we? But I want to suggest that we can still love them because we are not letting our principles go. We are letting our principles grow. And equity is the next step in that growth. So I think that one of the easiest ways actually to explain how equity works is by talking about school classrooms. My youngest daughter, Beatrice, is a senior in high school right now, and she has ADHD. By the way, I asked her permission to talk about her, and she enthusiastically gave it. She struggles to read and pay attention in class. She can get easily overwhelmed by all the various assignments and due dates. She has a hard time focusing and keeping track of it. She is also absolutely brilliant. What she needs to flourish is a little different from what the teacher's syllabus provides. So we worked with the school's 504 coordinator, right? And we figured out what accommodations that we can put in place to make her school experience equitable. She gets an extra day to turn things in. Her teachers are asked to put all assignments and instructions on the online class portal. She gets extra time for things like tests and essays. Simple things, equitable things. With these in place, she can flourish. And here's the kicker, here's the great news, is that when teachers put some of these policies in place universally, not just for the kids with 504 plans, they help everyone flourish. Now, I have my own personal story about equity. About 5 years ago, I got a little vestibular incident and had vestibular neuritis, which I'd never heard of before. And it ended with absolutely zero function vestibular function in my right ear. So my body has had to retrain itself in how to stay upright and how to walk and how to move. And I still have a few things that I struggle with. It's hard to walk on soft surfaces. It is hard to walk in the dark. In fact, I cannot walk in the dark, complete dark. So about a year ago, I was in Into the Woods at the Arkansas Repertory Theater, and I was playing the narrator. And we were having our first full tech rehearsal, right? And as the narrator, I had to walk from the main stage through to the side of the proscenium. And there was just about maybe that much, maybe 18 inches of path to walk from the main stage to the side. Well, I was doing my thing. I had my lines down. I was looking cute. And I suddenly found that I had to stop in my tracks because we had never done it with the lights before. And at the end of the first transition, the lights went completely dark. Like all I could see were the exit signs. And I had to pause. And in my head, I'm thinking, no, they're never going to hire me again. I can't be an actor if I can't walk in the dark. No. And so I said pause, and I explained the problem. And I expected it to be a problem. But the director just said, oh, that's no big deal. Don, can you make all our blackouts blue outs instead? And Don was like, yep, sure thing. Boom. Done. Easy grace, equity, right? It's so simple to provide people what they need. A fellow cast member later told me that they were glad that the lighting change had been made because they had nearly run into a set piece in the complete darkness, and they didn't have my problem. The truth is, when we practice the grace of equity for individuals, we are often also serving everyone, because we are all, each of us, bound up in the liberation of the other. There's a poem by Mary Oliver that I'm sure many of you know. It's called Wild Geese, and it opens like this. You do not have to be good. You do not have to walk on your knees for 100 miles in the desert repenting. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. Now, those lines sum up so much about my own personal theology. It's simple, really, isn't it? We are here to let the soft animal of our body love what it loves, but I believe that if we are bound up in the liberation of the other, we are also responsible for one thing further, to do the work in the world that makes certain that others also have what they need to let the soft animal of their body love what it loves. Because there's privilege in that, right? Having the luxury to do that requires support, community, time, resources, and equity. It requires having your most basic needs already met. No one can even begin to let the soft animal of their body love what it loves if they don't yet have what they need to flourish. My daughter didn't love her English literature class until her supports were in place. I couldn't love my role in Into the Woods until I knew that my safety needs were met. Another way to talk about equity is really with the old golden rule. You know, we learned this in kindergarten. Now, the difference between equality and equity is the difference between the golden rule and the platinum rule. Have you heard of the platinum rule? So the golden rule says that treat others as you would want to be treated, right? The platinum rule goes a step further and says to treat others how they want to be treated. It's very, very different. The platinum rule acknowledges differences and needs while still valuing the necessity for fair and equal treatment. And that, my friends, is equity. We UUs have leveled up. Now, does that mean that we leave plain, sad little equity behind as a value? No, not at all. I want to introduce a concept to the conversation here that I first heard about from a wonderful UU minister friend, Jane Beckel. This concept, called levels of truth, was first originated by Ann Wilson Schaaf. And I want to read you a little bit about what the levels of truth are. Every issue has its own level of truth. Levels of truth move in a progression. As one grows and increases in awareness, their levels of truth move from the superficial to the more profound. When a person is operating from a particular level of truth, that level is true for them. A person must fully embrace that truth before they can move to the next truth. And you can understand and sympathize with all the levels of truth that you have been through. And the further along one is on the levels of truth continuum regarding a particular concept, the better you will be able to understand the concept itself. And then the really crazy thing is, as you move from one level to the next, they can seem to be complete opposites of one another. Equality was a truth, and still is. But we have moved up a level of truth to equity. And just as Schaaf said, in some ways, it is the complete opposite because it acknowledges that we are fundamentally different. True, our basic needs are often the same: support, safety, love, education, healthcare, and so forth. But the supports we require to have those needs met are very, very different. My daughter does not have the same classroom experience as a student who doesn't even have ADHD. Joan Jett did not have the same experience in the music industry as the male rockers. So, what does this say about how yous move forward in our lives with this value of equity. I think first and foremost, it calls on us to listen deeply into the needs of others. It calls on us to assess and reassess, both internally and systemically, factors like racism and ableism and sexism and sizeism and ageism and all the isms, and to work for change and to put in place policies that fight against all of those things. Our values call us to love the world so hard that we are changed in the process. How can we meet each other in the future place where we are all served? How can we prepare a table where everyone has a seat? Where my daughter can thrive and so can yours. Where our jukeboxes are filled with the voices of everyone, not just the privileged few. The lines of one of my favorite songs that I've sung in my many years singing in UU choirs comes to mind for me here as a guide for how we incorporate equity into our lives. The lines of the song say, "I'm gonna lift my sister up. She is not heavy. I'm gonna lift my sister up. She is not heavy. If I don't lift her up, I will fall down." How can we care so deeply about each other and about our community that we know in our bones that our liberations are bound up inextricably, each with the other? Our progressive faith calls us to co-create a world where we can all live, not just with mere equality, but with equity, where we can all let the soft animal of our bodies love what they love, where we all thrive, where we all flourish. So may it be, so may we become. Amen. I invite you to rise now in body or spirit for one of my very favorite hymns. It's in the Teal hymnal, hymn number 1028, "The Fire of Commitment." go out into the world determined to be the love the world needs. Go out into the world determined to receive the love that you need. Fill our world with equity. Fill our communities with equity. Be the change the world needs. So may it be. Go in peace.